All right, so today we're diving deep into game development tools.
Sorry, okay.
But, stick with us even if you're not a game dev
Yeah.
because there's some really cool stuff here for anyone who works on teams or just hates inefficient processes.
Right.
We've got a whole stack of videos here from this YouTube channel called Game Dev Guide,
Game dev guide. Cool.
and they're all about building these really clever tools inside Unity,
Ah, in Unity. Okay.
which is a popular game engine,
Gotcha, gotcha.
if you're not familiar.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So let's jump right in. One of the things that these videos highlight is, game dev is this really interesting mix of people with totally different skill sets, right?
It is, yeah. It's like programmers, you got designers, artists, all kind of coming together to create this one
Right.
thing.
Which I think,
Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, I think any creative field, any
Yeah.
collaborative field can relate to.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that comes up, at least in these videos that they highlight,
Mm.
is
Yeah.
this need for programmers to kind of write extra code just to expose basic functionality for the non-programmers.
Make it easier for them to use.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But couldn't the designers, just learn to code? I mean, wouldn't that solve the problem?
Well, yeah, in theory, I mean, everyone could learn to code, I guess, but
Yeah,
in reality, that's not always practical,
right.
you know? Everyone has their strengths, and,
Mm.
forcing a designer
Yeah.
to become a coding whiz,
Yeah.
it's not really playing to their strengths.
Right. They should be focusing on what they're good at, the
Yeah,
design.
exactly, yeah. You don't want to ask a flea to climb a tree.
Okay, I like that.
So,
So what do we do about that? How do we
right.
bridge that gap?
Well, one solution that they highlight in the videos is using Unity's visual scripting tool, which is called Bolt.
Bolt. Okay.
And you can think of Bolt as a way to kind of create the logic of the game, but without
Yeah.
actually writing traditional code.
Interesting.
It's more like drag and drop, connecting things visually, so it's
Right.
way more accessible for...
So it's more intuitive.
Yeah.
So wait, so are you saying someone who's not a programmer, they could use Bolt to actually
Absolutely.
build stuff in the game?
Yeah, like you could design a quest or,
Yeah.
create...
Really powerful.
Yeah, and what makes Bolt even more powerful is that you can create these things called custom units.
Custom units. Okay.
And what these units do is they basically wrap up
Okay.
like a chunk of C# code,
Which is
the language that Unity uses.
gotcha.
And it makes those chunks of code available as building blocks within the visual scripting environment.
So it's like taking something that's complex and making it more user-friendly
Yeah, exactly.
for someone who's not a programmer.
And that way the programmer can kind of build the core systems,
Right.
package them up as these custom units. Yeah.
And then the designers can use those units to
build out features and stuff
exactly without even having to touch the
without having to go into the code.
yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty efficient.
Yeah, it is.
So do they have any like actual examples of
Yeah, they do.
how this works?
They do. They have a bunch of different examples, and one that really stood out to me was they built a tutorial system
Okay.
using Bolt.
A tutorial system, so like for a game to teach you how to play.
Exactly.
Okay.
So those in-game guides that show you the ropes.
Gotcha. So those can be pretty complicated to build, right?
They can be.
I would imagine.
Yeah, especially if you're doing it the traditional way with code.
Yeah.
But they show how you can use Bolt to create this really smooth tutorial flow. Like they have
Right.
custom units for setting objectives,
Okay.
like go collect 10 apples, or
Wait.
controlling those pop-up windows that explain things
Yeah.
to the player.
And so instead of hard coding every single step of the tutorial,
Yeah,
you're using these reusable building blocks in Bolt.
gotcha. So it's like a more
Exactly.
modular approach.
Yeah, much more flexible.
Okay, so that's got to be a huge time saver, right?
It
For
is
developers.
huge time saver.
Okay, so Bolt's great for bridging that gap between,
Yeah.
programmers and non-programmers.
Right.
But is there like a bigger lesson here, something we can all take away, even if we're not building games?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. What they're doing is they're separating
Yeah.
the specialized logic of that tutorial system
Okay.
from the core systems of the game itself.
Okay.
And this principle of separating, you know, creating a dedicated tool for a specific task.
Yeah.
That's something that you can apply to anything.
Anything. Really? Yeah.
So, give me an example.
Okay, so automating reports, managing social media, even organizing your to-do list.
Okay, yeah.
It's all about freeing yourself from repeating the same tedious steps over and over again. Right. It's all about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
That's something we can all get behind, right?
Absolutely.
Whether we're making games, running businesses, or just trying to get through the day.
Yeah, just trying to survive.
Now, the videos also dive into another game dev challenge.
Okay.
And this is something I think we can all relate to. Localization.
Localization,
Yeah, making your game work in different languages.
It's huge, yeah.
And I think people underestimate how much work that actually is.
Oh, absolutely.
If you don't plan for it from the start.
It can become a nightmare really quickly.
It can, yeah.
Imagine having to manually replace every single piece of text
Yeah.
in your game for each new language. It'd be...
Oh, that would be, yeah, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
So what's the smarter approach?
Spreadsheets?
Of course, spreadsheets, the answer to everything.
The answer to everything, spreadsheets.
Okay, so how do they use spreadsheets to manage localization?
So they advocate for using this master spreadsheet
Okay.
to keep track of all the text in the game.
Okay.
And so each row in the spreadsheet represents a different piece of text.
Okay.
And then each column represents a different language.
So it's all nice and organized.
Super organized, very scalable,
Okay.
keeps everything in one place.
So I can picture this giant spreadsheet with all these translations in different languages.
Yeah.
But how does that actually get into the game?
So that's where the coding comes in.
Okay.
They actually write a script that reads this spreadsheet,
Okay.
stores all the translation,
Yeah.
and then it dynamically swaps out the text in the game based on the player's language.
So the game adapts on the fly.
Exactly. It's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
And it's not just basic functionality either. They take it a step further.
Okay.
They actually build custom tools within Unity's editor, which is
The interface where you make the games.
right to make working with those translations even easier.
Okay, now we're talking custom tools. I love this. Tell me about these custom tools. What do they do?
So one thing they do is they build editor scripts that let you add,
Okay.
edit, and remove translations directly within Unity.
So you don't have to go back and forth between the spreadsheets.
You don't have to keep switching.
And Unity.
Yeah.
That's got to be a time saver.
Huge time saver.
Okay, what else? What other cool tools do they build?
So they also create what's called a custom property drawer
Okay.
for their localized string class.
Hold on. Back up.
Right.
Can we do a quick ELI 5 on property drawers? Because I hear that term a lot in Unity, but I don't really understand what they are.
Okay, so think of the Unity Inspector,
Okay.
which is that panel where you see all the properties of your game objects.
Yeah.
Think of that as a house.
Okay.
Property drawers are basically like the interior decorators for that house.
Okay.
They let you customize how specific types of data
Okay.
are displayed and edited within that house.
That's a way better analogy than I had in my head.
Okay,
So they're using this property drawer.
to make the localized strings look better and be more functional.
Okay.
So you can preview the translated values right in the inspector.
Right in the
You can search for specific keys,
Yeah.
and it even handles the logic of picking the right translation
Okay.
based on the player's language settings.
So it's like supercharging the way you work with these strings, these localized strings.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
And it's all about making that workflow as smooth and as efficient as possible.
Yeah, I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah,
Okay, so they go from localization
they do.
to now they're talking about something that a lot of people overlook.
Yes.
Spell
It's
checking.
spell checking. Yeah.
So important.
So important, especially in games.
Yeah, you don't want your game to be
You don't want typos.
a meme because you misspelled something.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do they handle spell checking in Unity?
So they use this external library called NetSpell.
NetSpell, okay.
And NetSpell, it provides spell checking functionality that's already built in.
So you don't have to
Don't have to start from scratch.
build your own dictionary.
Yeah, which would be a nightmare.
Yeah,
But they take it a step further.
okay.
They use NetSpell to create this special text field
Okay.
within Unity.
Within Unity's editor.
And so as you type, it flags any potential misspellings and even gives you suggestions.
So it's like having like a Grammarly
Yeah, it's like having a little, a little helper.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's a small thing, but I bet it saves so much time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Now here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
They start talking about this thing in Unity called the Search Window API.
Yes, the Search Window API.
And this is kind of like a hidden feature, right?
Yeah, it's not super well documented.
Okay, so for those of us who don't know, what is this?
So, you know those searchable menus that you see all over Unity?
Yeah.
Like when you're adding a component to a game object or...
Right, or when you're searching for nodes in Shader Graph.
Yeah, Exactly.
Yeah, those are amazing. They make it so much easier to,
They're lifesavers, yeah.
yeah, when you have tons of options.
Yeah.
So what does the search window API have to do with that?
Well, the Search Window API gives you the power to make your own searchable menus.
What?
Like that.
So I don't have to just rely on the ones that Unity gives me. I
Exactly.
can make my own.
You can make your own for your own data, for your own tools.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
Okay, give me an example. How could I use that?
So let's say you're making a game and you have this long list of ingredients for a crafting system.
Okay.
Instead of having this massive drop-down menu
Yeah.
in the inspector, you could use the Search Window API to create this sleek little searchable menu
Okay.
that makes finding the right ingredients super easy.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That'd be so much more user-friendly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm seeing how game dev techniques, like, we can take them outside of games and apply them to other stuff.
Absolutely, for sure.
That's really neat.
Yeah,
And it looks like they don't stop there.
they don't.
With the Search Window API, they're making it even more advanced.
Yeah, so they show you how to actually make the search results context aware.
Okay.
So if you're searching for a specific type of asset, like a texture, it'll only show you textures.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, keeps the search results.
Keeps it focused.
Yeah, really nice. And
Especially on a big project where you have
yeah, tons of files.
a million things.
Exactly.
That's really cool. And they go even further, right?
They do. They even show you how to make a searchable window for like all the assets in your project,
Wow.
which is basically like
Like a super-powered
asset browser.
asset browser.
That's awesome.
I know, right? It's really cool.
So, okay, we've got the Search Window API.
Yeah.
Now they're talking about another tool.
For building custom editor windows,
Right.
these things called serialized properties.
Serialized properties, yeah.
And this is another one where I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
help me understand this.
So think of serialized properties as this bridge between your code
Okay.
and the Unity editor.
Right.
They allow you to basically expose the data in your classes, which are like
Okay.
the blueprints for the objects in your game.
Yeah.
Expose that data in a way that Unity can understand and manipulate.
So they're kind of like translators
They're like translators, yeah,
between my code and...
between your code and the editor.
Okay. I like that.
And the really cool thing is you can use them to automatically generate editor interfaces
Automatic.
based on the structure of your classes.
So I don't have to write like a bunch of code
You don't have to write all the boilerplate code
for all the little...
for every field and every button. Then
Okay. I'm liking the sound of this.
it's pretty great.
What are some of the benefits of using this approach?
So for one, it drastically reduces the amount of code you have to write.
Okay.
Like I said, less boilerplate code.
Yeah.
It handles those custom property drawers we talked about
Right.
automatically.
Okay.
And it gives you way more flexibility in terms of
Okay.
how you lay out your editor windows.
So it's like this super efficient framework for
It is.
building these custom editor windows.
It's a really nice framework.
It's like a dream come true for
Mhm.
someone who hates writing UI code.
Exactly. It lets you focus more on the functionality, like what your tool actually does,
Yeah.
rather than just,
The nitty gritty.
the nitty-gritty details.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here, and I'm really liking it.
It's all about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
That's the key.
Now, before we wrap up this part of the deep dive,
Okay.
there's one more little nugget of gold from these videos that I
Okay.
want to touch on,
Yeah.
and that is extending the Unity toolbar.
Ah, yes. The Unity toolbar.
Yeah, that coveted space at the top of the screen where you can add your own custom buttons and shortcuts.
Prime real estate.
It is.
Prime real estate up there.
And they introduced this open source tool called the Unity Toolbar Extender,
Unity toolbar extender, yeah.
which makes it super easy
Makes it really easy.
to do that.
Yeah.
Really handy.
I'm already thinking about all the custom buttons I could add to my toolbar.
It's dangerous, I know. The possibilities are endless.
It is.
But we'll have to save
We'll have
those
to
toolbar adventures for another time.
for another time.
Yeah,
We have a lot more deep diving to do.
we do. Welcome back. So last time, remember we were talking about those custom editor windows?
Yeah, the serialized properties, those were pretty cool.
They were really cool, and I think they're especially helpful when you're dealing with, like, really complex data structures.
Yeah, like we saw in that example with the game data,
Yeah.
where you had all those properties nested inside each other.
Yeah. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Exactly, but with a custom editor window and those serialized properties.
Right. Suddenly it all makes sense. It's organized.
It's organized, it's easy to edit, it's
It's a dream.
Yeah, and what's amazing is how little code they actually had to write.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Unity does so much of the heavy lifting for you.
It's like having a personal assistant for editor window creation.
I love that analogy. It's so true.
And speaking of assistants, the videos also touched on using those serialized properties to create, like, dynamic editor panels.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool, which kind of blew my mind.
The ability to show or hide different properties based on certain conditions.
Yeah, or like user action.
It's so powerful.
Yeah, it's like those choose your own adventure books,
Exactly.
but for like game
For
development.
game dev, yeah.
That's really neat. It makes the interface so much more user-friendly.
It does, because you're only showing the relevant information
Exactly.
at any given time.
Yeah.
So we talked about extending the Unity toolbar before, but the videos also cover something else that's pretty cool.
Yeah. What's that?
Extending the context menu.
Ah, yes, the context menu, the right-click menu.
Yeah, so just remind me, the context menu, that's the one that pops up when you right-click on something in the project.
Directly, that's the one.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
So what's so special about extending that?
Well, by adding your own custom options to that menu,
Okay.
you can really streamline your workflow and boost your efficiency.
So, like, give me an example.
Okay, so imagine you're working with a 3D model
Okay.
and you want to, I don't know, create a mirrored version of it.
Okay.
You could add a custom option to the context menu that does that instantly.
Oh, wow. So instead of going through a bunch of steps,
Exactly.
you just right-click and boom, it's done.
Right there in the context menu.
That's awesome.
Yeah, or imagine you're working on a script and you right-click on it,
Yeah.
and there's an option to automatically generate documentation for it.
Oh, that would be a lifesaver.
I know, right?
Yeah, those are really cool examples.
And it just shows the power and flexibility of the Unity editor.
It does. It really does.
It's really quite amazing.
It's interesting. A lot of these concepts that we're talking about,
Yeah,
they go way beyond game development, right?
absolutely.
Like that whole idea of building specialized tools
For
for
it.
specific tasks,
Separating them from the main system.
separating them from the main system. Yeah.
That's a principle that you can apply in any field.
It's true. It's like anytime you're doing something repetitive,
Yeah.
you're like, there's got to be a better way.
There's got to be a tool for this.
Yeah. And sometimes that means like investing a little time up front
Yeah.
to build something
Get that tool, exactly.
that's going to save you hours, maybe even days in the long run.
And those tools can evolve with you.
Yeah.
You can start with something simple, and then
Add more features as you go.
as you get more comfortable, as you learn more,
It's like you're building a toolbox.
a toolbox for your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Start with the essentials.
It's essentials, yeah.
And then you keep adding more as you need them.
As you take on bigger challenges.
So remember those custom attributes we were talking about with the spell checking example?
I do, yeah.
It's like they turned a regular text field into this like smart spell checking field.
It was magical.
It was really cool.
And the cool thing is you can use those custom attributes to make all sorts of specialized fields.
Like, give me some examples.
So like a field that only accepts valid email addresses.
Okay. Yeah.
Or a field that, validates numeric input.
Okay, so it's like giving these editor fields superpowers.
Superpowers.
I
Exactly.
can do so much more.
They can do so much more than just show basic data.
Yeah. Okay, now this is where I get really excited.
Okay, what is it?
They start talking about data visualization
Data visualization, yes.
inside the Unity editor.
Inside Unity, yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait, data visualization?
Yeah.
I thought that was more of a spreadsheet thing.
I know, but Unity can do it too.
So how does that work?
So imagine you're working on like a game with a really complex economy,
Okay.
or maybe a simulation with tons of interconnected systems.
Yeah.
It can be tough to make sense of all that data just by looking at numbers in a spreadsheet.
Okay, sometimes you need a more visual way.
You need to see it, yeah.
Understand it.
And that's where Unity's graphing capabilities come in.
Oh, Unity has built-in graphing.
It does. It's one of those hidden gems.
Wow.
And it can really help you understand your data, analyze it, spot patterns.
So you're using Unity as a data analysis tool.
Exactly. It's pretty powerful.
That's amazing. I never knew.
It's a whole other side of Unity.
Okay, so data visualization, that's cool, but
Yeah.
there's one more thing.
One more thing. What is it?
Custom asset importers.
Ah, yes. Custom asset importers.
And this is an area where I need a little help.
Okay, I can help with that.
What are they? Why are they important?
So asset importers are basically the bridge between the files you create in external programs. like your 3D models, your images, your audio,
Yeah.
and the way Unity uses those files in your project.
Okay.
They handle all the, like, converting file formats,
Yeah.
setting up materials, optimizing stuff.
So they're like the gatekeepers
Gatekeepers, yeah.
of your project.
Making sure everything's formatted correctly.
Okay, I like that.
So by creating custom asset importers,
Okay.
you can automate a lot of these tasks.
So you save time.
Save tons of time.
And you can create like new ways of...
Yeah, new ways of importing and working with files.
Okay, give me an example. How could I use this?
So let's say you're working on a team and everyone uses the same 3D modeling software.
Okay.
You want to make sure all the models that get imported into Unity have the same settings.
Yeah, like the scale, the pivot point.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's important.
You could write a custom asset importer that automatically applies those settings.
Ah, that would be so helpful.
Yeah, it eliminates all that manual tweaking.
Yeah, so it ensures consistency across the project.
Exactly. Consistency is key.
Okay, so we've talked about so many different tools and techniques,
We have. It's been a lot.
but there's one more that's absolutely essential,
What's that?
especially when you're working on a large project.
Hi.
Version control.
Ah, version control, the unsung hero of game development.
It really is.
And any kind of collaborative project, really.
It's one of those things you don't think about until you need it.
And then you're like, thank goodness for version control.
Exactly.
It's like a time machine for your project.
It is. You can go back
You can see who changed what.
when they changed it.
When they changed it, you can revert back.
It's so powerful.
It's incredibly powerful, and it can really save your bacon.
It can. It can definitely prevent chaos.
Chaos, exactly.
On a big team.
Big team, lots of people working on the same files. It's essential.
Yeah, the videos do a really good job of explaining it,
They do.
even if you're new to the concept.
Yeah, they break it down really nicely.
So I feel like we've really gone on this amazing journey through the Unity editor.
It's been a deep dive.
We've covered so much.
So much ground.
And it's not just about game development.
Right.
These techniques can be applied to
To anything.
anything.
Anything where you need to be efficient, where you need to collaborate.
So before we wrap up,
Yeah.
remember that question we asked you earlier
Oh,
about thinking of those tasks in your own work?
repetitive tasks.
Yeah, that you could maybe make easier.
Make easier or more enjoyable.
More enjoyable, yeah, with a custom tool.
Yeah. Have you thought about anything?
Honestly, so many things have come to mind,
Yeah.
but one that keeps popping up is managing my email inbox.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this constant battle
And it's a never-ending struggle.
to stay on top of things.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I'm thinking, maybe I could build something
Yeah.
that automatically sorts my emails
Oh, based on...
based on keywords, the sender.
That'd be amazing.
Or like a tool to help me write personalized responses.
Oh, for common inquiries.
Yeah, the possibilities
Endless.
are endless.
It's really about, like, changing your mindset.
Yeah.
You're not limited by the tools that are given to you.
Right.
You can create your own.
It's so empowering.
It is.
It really is.
And I think that's the biggest takeaway from all of this.
Yeah.
It's not just about the specific tools.
It's about the mindset
It's about the mindset
of creative problem solving.
of finding solutions
Yeah.
and making your work life better.
Yeah. So listeners out there, take this inspiration,
Yeah, run with it.
build a tool, automate something, streamline your workflow.
No matter how small.
It's going to make a difference.
It will.
And you might even inspire someone else
Exactly.
to do the same.
It's contagious.
So
Keep experimenting.
keep experimenting.
Keep learning.
Keep building.
Because the best tool you have.
Is your own ingenuity.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we have one more part to this deep dive.
Stay tuned.
We're going to wrap everything up.
Wrap it all up.
And we'll see you next time.
See you.
Welcome back. It's wild how much we've learned from this game dev deep dive.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy how much of this stuff applies to, like, just about any field.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we've been getting these secret lessons in efficiency and problem solving.
Yeah, and the best part is that these tools and these techniques are becoming more accessible
Oh, absolutely.
to everyone, not just, the coding wizards.
Right. So we started off talking about that classic struggle
Yeah,
between programmers and, well, everybody else.
the non-coders, right?
All that back and forth, the miscommunication.
Yeah, trying to get your ideas across when everyone speaks different language.
But now with these tools like Bolt, like the Unity toolbar extender,
Right.
it's like we're giving everyone the power to build cool stuff.
It really is, like democratizing the whole tool creation process.
Exactly. So you don't have to be a coding expert to build something really powerful.
And when you have that, you break down those barriers between different teams.
Yeah, no more silos.
It becomes way more collaborative, everyone can contribute,
Everyone benefits.
and that leads to better results in the end.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to something we asked earlier
You mean
about thinking of those repetitive tasks in your own work,
Uh-huh.
the ones that could be easier
Or maybe even, like, a little more enjoyable.
if you had the right tool.
Have you had any more thoughts about that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. A ton, actually.
Yeah.
But the one that keeps coming back to me is like my email inbox.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Right. It's like this never-ending battle to keep it under control.
Email's the worst, I feel you.
And I'm thinking, what if I built something that automatically sorted my emails? You know?
Okay, yeah, based on...
Keywords, sender, importance, all that.
That would be amazing.
Or what if I had a tool that helped me write those quick replies?
Yeah, like those canned responses.
Exactly, but more personalized.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
The possibilities are just...
Endless.
Right. Yeah.
That's the beauty of this whole thing.
Yeah. It's not about being limited by the tools that are out there
It's about taking control,
and building your own.
building the tools that you need to be successful.
It's so empowering.
It really is.
And I think that's the biggest takeaway from all of this.
Mhm.
It's not just about the specific tools we talked about. It's about
It's about the mindset.
the mindset.
Yeah, like being proactive,
Yeah. Taking initiative,
thinking creatively,
solving your own problems,
and making your work, a little less of a headache.
and a little more enjoyable.
Exactly.
So to all our listeners out there,
Yeah, go out there and
build something, automate something, make your workflow better.
even if it's a small change,
It makes a difference.
it really does.
And who knows, you might inspire someone else to do the same.
Exactly. Spread the love.
So keep experimenting, keep learning,
Keep building.
because the best tool you have is your own creativity.
Well said.
That's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.